सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात वही है, क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ सेम है, तो आप क्यों आप वहाँ पे इतना पैसा खर्चा करोगे? They don't want people who are not able to fit into the culture, regardless of the fact if they have 10 years of experience. The whole point of us coming from India to, to foreign countries is not just for the education per se, but I feel like the exposure that we get.
Did the university that you studied at play a role in you getting the opportunity?
It doesn't matter which university you come from. What matters the most is what kind of a person you've become when you've come out from university. I have so many friends just now who are in Glasgow and they didn't go to Glasgow Uni and they work at Morgan Stanley and they went to University of Sheffield.
Yeah.
So that's very economical. I think one of my friends who studied there, he spent about 15 lakhs for the whole course and yet he's working at Morgan Stanley.
Right. Building a career in finance is not just a dream. You have so many friends.
Exactly.
And from different universities.
Right.
And from different backgrounds.
Right.
Who are actually doing it. Do you see any patterns emerging out of it? The friends you find who are doing well, are there any traits, any things which are sort of you feel are common?
If you are looking to study abroad, then watch this full video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated.
Hi Harsh, how are you?
Had a long day.
Aman and Jaya, they are both students here studying electronics. I thought I'll also just make an introduction to you. He's from your university, University of Glasgow. So he was giving me the tour of University of Glasgow. So he was assigned that role and he was giving me tour of Strathclyde. हाँ नहीं बढ़िया यार मतलब Classy 8 is like a tourist attraction. Hop on hop off बस वहाँ रुकती है. Spent a good amount of time. We went into the museum and everything. It was a lot of fun. अच्छा you guys are heading back?
You guys live in Hamilton? बहुत दूर से आए हो यार. दूर तो वैसे क्या 25-30 मिनट लगेंगे ट्रेन से. अच्छा बस से राइट.
आज का दिन तुम्हारा मेरा है.
अरे मत पूछो, आज तो हालत खराब हो गई यार. आज मतलब मैंने एक्सपेक्ट ही नहीं किया था कि इतना काम होगा आज बैठे बैठे. नहीं that's fine. अरे मैं यूजुअली जल्दी फ्री हो जाता हूँ. आज पहली बार मतलब 4 महीने में ऐसा हुआ है कि आज मैं 6:30 बजे ऑफिस से निकला पहली बार और आज के दिन ही. तो मैंने बोला यार आज तो हालत खराब हो गई.
कोई नहीं, अभी हालत ठीक करते हैं तुम्हारी. थैंक्स गाइस, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द एंटायर डे. मजा आया तुम्हारे साथ मजे करें. आई शेयर इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट हर्ष. इफ यू गाइस वांट टू कनेक्ट आई विल कनेक्ट यू, है ना?
डेफिनेटली मैन.
फील्ड अलग है तुम लोग के बट यू गाइस कैन स्टिल लर्न, है ना?
Nice to meet you guys. I'll see you again.
We started with Strathclyde, then went to Glasgow, Caledonian, then went to University of Glasgow. Abhi just आए वापस. So we've not had much time to actually look in the city, explore the city.
Right. It makes sense.
Also, it's my first time.
The first time?
To Glasgow, yes.
अच्छी जगह
Edinburgh,
है.
I've been a few times.
Right.
But here it's my first time. But
Quite
हाँ,
nice.
it's of course weather is
quite
nice.
nice.
तो भी बढ़िया लगता है.
वो तो है. आज आप वैसे किस्मत अच्छी है, आज वेदर थोड़ा बेटर है. यूजुअली नहीं तो अभी आप निकलोगे इतनी हवा चलेगी, इतनी ठंड लगेगी, you'll be like यार घर बैठते हैं इससे बेटर है. या तो कभी बारिश होती रहेगी. And the rain here itself, it doesn't pour. It sprays.
It sprays.
Exactly, it sprays. It's like जैसे बाल कटवाने जाते हो तो स्प्रे नहीं मारता है. It feels like that, which is a bit annoying.
I think it's like you get wet and you get dry. You don't even realize.
Exactly, you don't realize. But then at the same time, you can never be too sure what to wear. I mean, the change in temperature is so drastic. In one day itself, you'll see like 12 to 15 degrees movement up and down.
That is there, and multiple times. So
Exactly.
It's not like it will
so you
slowly
cannot
go up or
see
slowly
what's
come
coming.
down.
Exactly, you can't see.
That is
what's
true.
coming.
But yeah, I mean, thanks for making it here. I thought,
absolutely.
you're a bit
Absolutely.
late now, so I thought you might want to rest.
No, that's fine. It's fine. I'm like, now that I'm out, get everything done and head to bed. That's all I need. I've been up since 5 in the morning, so I'm like.
So what were you doing at 5?
My office is in Edinburgh, right? So given the fact that the bus itself takes about 1 hour to an hour and a half, depending on traffic too, right? So I wake up at 5, start getting ready by 4:30 because if I set my alarm for 5, you know that okay, अब 5:30 तक उठूंगा, सब कर आके 6:15 हो जाएंगे, नहाते धोते, टाइम मिलता नहीं है ब्रेकफास्ट का, so वहाँ से घर से रश करके बस स्टेशन and then bus station से सीधा ऑफिस.
But where exactly? Because we are actually going to go back to Edinburgh.
Right. आप तो वैसे आप कौन सी बस 900 से होगे?
We came by a National Express.
Okay,
but we'll most likely
right.
Because we don't have a ticket right now. So we'll most likely take a 900. I think it keeps running all night.
So that's the one I came from. So that's every 15 minutes, 900.
Yeah,
so that's
right.
what I usually take, and it's cheap as well. It's £10 return.
£10
for a day. So you save money there as well. And my office will actually come in the between. It'll come in the middle as well when you'll be going to Edinburgh. So my office itself is in Bogaburn.
That's what I was trying to ask you.
Right.
That if you want, then we'll come to your office place.
Oh no,
and we can
fine.
meet you there.
Because the
anyways,
office
you have to
itself.
Go back to Edinburgh.
Exactly, because the office itself is not in Edinburgh per se. It's outside. Because that's headquarters for NatWest Group. So it's like a very huge campus. I think they have about 150 acres of land there, and they've got a lot of things there, like rivers and all that stuff. So it's good. I mean, given the fact it's a good office as well, good exposure. You get to meet a lot of new people, very experienced people, of course, like very senior level people too.
Because it's the headquarters, so So of course you have everyone there.
Exactly. So it's the HQ there. I feel like that is a perk, of course. That is something good, and I like that about the office. That is why I don't mind the travel. And then honestly, I've been in Glasgow for 2 years now, and I'm like, I've gotten used to the city now.
Right.
All my friends. It feels like home.
Feels like home.
Exactly. So moving to Edinburgh is like starting all over again. I'm like, no, I've had enough. I can't do that.
But how far would it be from Edinburgh if you had to go there?
To my office?
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Then it just maybe saves a little bit more time for
Exactly.
you.
I mean, see, door to door, my travel itself is about 2 hours. So that's 2 hours gone.
Then it makes sense getting up at 5.
Exactly. So that's
guys,
the thing.
here we are in the city of Glasgow. It's a pleasant evening and we have our friend Harsh with us. And we are so excited about this opportunity to spend this time with him. And we are going to be talking about how do you land the coveted jobs in finance in the UK, because he's working for NatWest. For all the cricket fans, you would know NatWest from the sponsors of NatWest series with England. And I think that's what something he's working with. We are going to learn about his journey, how he came to UK and what did he do here and how did he land this fantastic opportunity with NatWest. So thanks Harsh for taking our time, and I know you've been up since very early in the morning. But yeah, I think it's important what you're doing. A lot of students who are looking to come to the UK are feeling a bit lost.
Right.
Everyone says UK is the financial capital, it's a big hub, but people are attracted to study finance here.
That's true.
But they are not getting jobs in finance. And you have. So that's the mystery we are here to solve today. You know, we want to understand from you your journey, where you were in India, what you were doing, and how you got to UK. Where did you come? Where did you study? What did you study? And then let's go take us through that timeline.
Absolutely.
Right, so that we understand who you are. And then have a lot of questions.
No, that's completely fine. Don't worry about it.
So then I'll make sure I get all my answers today.
No, definitely. So
tell us a bit about you.
Absolutely. So my name's Harsh, guys. I'm originally from New Delhi. I did my undergrad in Delhi University. I was there in Hindu. I did economics honors there. Did my graduation in 2021. Post that, I started working with a startup in Mumbai. So they were into commercial real estate investments. So that was something I got exposed to finance for the first time.
Which startup was that?
It's called Prop Returns. It was funded by Y Combinator.
Okay.
So it was pretty well backed, and the founders were actually very good friends of mine. He himself was from Modern Barakhamba in New Delhi, so I knew him personally, and that's how we got along.
You're also from Modern Barakhamba?
No, I was in Heritage Vasant Kunj.
Heritage Vasant.
So, but same circle, so same network of people around. So, I mean, we were fairly young at the time because I was one of the first guys he started working with. There were 3 founders, right?
Yeah.
And it was myself in New Delhi, and there was another guy in Mumbai. So it was all 5 of us who moved to Mumbai, right? Started settling there, getting used to the startup life, right? So it was pretty busy. It was pretty good because the moment when I joined those guys, right, they were only a team of about 6 people, including 3 founders. So it was, and the 3 people who were working, it was myself, then there were 2 guys in Mumbai. So by the time I left them, which was in 2023 in July, because I was meant to fly to Glasgow, right? For my master's. And that was always on the plan as well. I had always told my friends as well, like my founders, that I'm going to move abroad. I'm going to go for my master's because that was my end goal. So they knew about all that, right? But it was good. It was a good experience. I mean, overall, I thought I got exposed to finance a bit more, get to understand the culture. You know, when you talk about working in finance, it is completely different as compared to any other sector as such, like marketing, right? You go engineering as well, but finance is extremely fast paced. It keeps you on your toes, right? You're talking about money here and there, right? So just today itself, I never saw myself working until 6:30, even though I'm in the UK, trust me, right? I start my work at 9, I log off by 4, that's me done. But then today was a long day, so that's the thing. I mean, I think it has its own ups and downs. There are good days, there are bad days, right? I think I learned a lot back in that startup, right? So when I moved here, this was in September 23, was the first time when I came to Glasgow, right?
And which university did you?
So this was University of Glasgow. I joined my master's program there, which was MSc Investment Banking and Finance. So initially what happened was I got accepted into King's College London as well.
Right.
But the course that I had there was banking and finance. So that was more like retail banking. But that was not something I was too keen on. I was more into investments, you know, asset management and all that stuff. That is why I was like more inclined towards Glasgow Uni. And at the same time, so King's comes at a cost, right? It comes at a very steep cost. It was, I think the fee itself at that time was about £45,000, right, for 1 year, which in itself is quite hefty. And then at the same time, when you talk about accommodation in London, you know what it's like. That's at least £2,000 a month.
And that's not a school where you can like live far away. And you need to be there because a lot of stuff is happening. So you need to be there for that.
Absolutely. See, you need to be exposed to the culture at uni, right? Because the whole point of us coming from India to, you know, to foreign countries is not just for the education per se, but I feel like the exposure that we get, the different kind of people that we get to meet, right? So, I mean, you'd be surprised to know when I moved here, right? I did interact interact with a lot of Indians, but at the same time, there were so many friends of mine from my class, right, who were majorly from Europe. Like at this point, whenever I'm walking around the city, at times I feel like, ah, shit, so many friends of mine have gone back home.
Yeah.
Not to India, but then to their countries in
Yeah.
Europe or maybe
Yeah.
say America or somewhere else. So I feel like that adds a lot of value, right,
Yeah.
to a person as such. At the same time, I feel like that adds a lot of value, exposure, right? Taking initiative and trying to meet new people. So when I moved here in Glasgow, right, this was September 2023, University of Glasgow, MSc Investment Banking and Finance. I mean, at that point, I felt like I was very overwhelmed because it was a completely different experience for me.
Yeah.
And given the fact that I've lived away from my family before, because my schooling itself, I was in a boarding school for 3 years.
Right.
I was in Birla Public School, Pilani. So given the fact that I have lived away from my family, but then, this is where the distance strikes because you're not talking about 1,000 kilometers, you're talking about, I don't know, 100,000 miles or whatsoever, right? You're talking very long distances. Like at this point, the closest I feel to my family is when I'm talking over the phone on video call. So that's the closest thing, right? And even if I were to see them, it's at least a 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
So it was very overwhelming at first. I was all alone, no friends as such. That's when you start feeling like, okay, you need to, be more outspoken, talk to new people, right? Because it's just not yourself, but other people as well. You need to start interacting, take initiatives, start getting to know people.
Yeah.
I feel like that was something that added a lot of value in me per se.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend for any newcomers as well. Like, don't be shy of talking to new people because they're foreigners, right? Trust me.
Right.
They're in the same position as us,
Yeah.
right? So they're in the same
And
position
everyone,
as us.
like when somebody, let's say from Europe comes and in India and they're trying to talk to us, we are also equally excited to talk to them.
Exactly. Trust me, I mean, it's very exciting when you talk to all these people and you feel like, I know you might feel like, oh, you're not home, but at the same time, trust me, it's not just you, it's everyone around you. So everyone's trying to make a home here for themselves. That's what it's been like, the experience altogether.
So while you were studying, did you do any part-time work?
So guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys, not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one-on-one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one-on-one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
Yes, so I mean, if the music out there was a bit low, then I would have shown you the place as well.
Yeah.
This retail store I was working at, this was House of Phrases. So they're into retail. I was working there with them for a bit as well. I think I started off in August. Tenure for my university was from September to September.
Yeah.
Right, 2023 September to 2024 September. Our dissertation finished in August. We had some time on our hands. And then given the fact that I was done with my dissertation, there were no exams to do anymore as well. So that's when I started looking for more opportunities. And that's when I bumped into that opportunity there. That was quite good.
So you did work part-time, but mostly after completing your studies?
Yes, once I completed my degree, right?
So while studying, you were not really working
No,
on part-time?
not then.
Right.
Because I mean, the thing is, like when you're at uni, right, there's so much going on. It's not just your studies, right? There's extracurricular activities, right? And we're students, man. I mean, come on, we got parties to attend as well. So there's always something happening. You need to be a part of that culture too, because you're not here to just grind your ass off. You're meant to come here, learn, do new things, experience new things, travel as well. So that was me, honestly, because so until August, I wasn't working part-time. So it was after August that I started working part-time, but that was until March when I got my job at NAT. I was working part-time until then. It was a good experience as well because back then too, you start meeting new people, right? They're working there. And most of the people who work here in retail stores, right? So they're not full-time employees. They themselves are part-time employees.
Right.
They're all students.
Right.
They're all students and they all come from the same background. So everyone's very happy to meet new people.
Yes.
And it's very, very inclusive. Everyone feels nice to be there. I worked with those guys until March. So this is like the center of Glasgow. This is George Square.
Yeah.
I think there's some work going on just now because
they're doing some maintenance.
Yeah. I mean, I remember they were restructuring the whole thing. They were breaking it down and then rebuilding it. But it's been there for quite some time, and it's been a while since I came around here. So we can walk to the right. But right. So yeah, I worked part time until March.
Yeah.
And then during that time as well. So what my routine was like during my time when I was working part time. So what I usually did was whenever I was working, it was usually during the day, say about 10 a.m. to about usually 5-hour shift.
Right.
Because we're on a student visa too, so there's visa restrictions too.
Right.
For the number of hours you can do in a week. So that's usually 20. So that sums up to like 4 or 5 hours or 4 or 5 days. That's how it goes. So I used to do that, but on my free days, so there's actually a cafe nearby my house, right? So what I used to do is I just used to go around there. And then there was this list of jobs that I always had on my MacBook open, right? So whenever I'm going through my laptop, I always used to have all these notifications coming through. And then there's a few platforms as well that you can go. There's a few groups as well who help you land jobs. if you're in finance or marketing or even engineering for that matter, right? And not just jobs per se, but then internships or graduate programs too, because they are quite common here.
Right.
Right, they are quite common here.
Graduate programs especially, yeah.
Exactly, they're fairly common, but they're very difficult to get into.
Yes.
They're very choosy, and lately as well. So all the big companies too, what they've done is they've reduced the number of graduates they take in. I think it was this year itself. So there's a friend of mine, he works at Barclays just now. So he mentioned that a lot of graduate recruits were dropped as well.
Yeah.
The number had dropped significantly over time. So that happened.
You worked for about 6-7 months. You did part-time
Right.
at a retail store. So it's not like everything was hunky-dory and, you know.
No, trust
like,
me, it isn't.
You know,
It isn't. I'm
you
working
just-
full time now, and it's still a struggle, man.
It didn't happen like magically. And
No,
it's not like
no. It's not a bed of
perfect-
roses.
It's not a perfect
It's not a
Bollywood
bed of
hit
roses.
story.
No.
So,
Trust me, it's not.
How did you end up finding the opportunity at NatWest?
Right. So.
And what was the process like, and how did you, you know, clear it?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you about this. The days when I was not working, right, I used to sit at that cafe near my house, right, and I used to apply for multiple jobs. Those were times, they were really tough times, honestly, because every day you put in out like 40, 45 applications and then you get rejections over and over. That becomes very disappointing at a certain point, right? But then I feel like that keeps you motivated as well, because you know, if people are being hired, what's different with them? Why are they being hired and not you, right? So that keeps you going, right? So I kept on to that, honestly. I kept applying. And at the same time, I felt like networking was quite important too. And this is actually a very funny story. I had applied to NatWest. When the role came up, like when I applied to it, I was working at my store then. So there was an Indian guy who came into the store when I was working at Fraser's. He came around and I was chatting with him. So he was Indian. I mean, you know, when they're Indian, you just feel like home and you start talking in Hindi as well. So I was speaking to him and I asked him, how long have you been here for? And he mentioned, I've been here for like about 12, 15 years now. I'm like, oh, that's good. What'd you do? And then that's when he told me, oh, he works at NatWest.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I just applied there. I mean, it's been a pain, honestly. Is there something you can help me out with? So that's when he mentioned, I mean, so he had a chat with me. We had a small chat for about 5-10 minutes. He understood what I did, right? And luckily enough, so the role that I applied for was in his team.
Okay.
So it was in his team because it was a fairly new team that he was just coming up with. So
Awesome.
that was really good, right? He went over my CV then and there at the store itself, and then he gave me his number.
You
and
had
then
the fast pass.
Oh, absolutely. So that was good. I mean, I got connected to the big boss there, so that was fairly good. That added a lot of value, right? Because I feel like if I've impressed the higher up, then it was fairly easy.
Absolutely.
So that happened, and he was okay with my CV too. He was like, okay, CV has a lot of weight to it, and he wanted me to come in for an interview because, of course, he doesn't want the opinion to be biased. So that is why.
Was he from your university by any chance?
No,
or like
no.
He was not like
No.
UK educated.
Right. So he's from India itself. He came here with the job itself. He was working in Poland before this. When he came around, so he had a lot of weight. He felt I had a lot of weight in my CV, and I think it was just about giving an opportunity once. So that's when he mentioned, okay, I'll help you get an interview as well. I'm like, okay, that's fine because I've already applied for the job.
Yeah.
So formally, everything was done. So that's when I hear back from NatWest, right? They're like, oh, we'd like to call you for an interview. And I was like, more than happy.
Yes.
Come on. I mean, by then, what happened was I'd already given 3 interviews. 2 of them were at Barclays and 1 of them was at Lloyd. One of the interviews at Barclays.
But that's a good thing that by now you're getting calls from all top financial institutions already.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So what happened was during my interview with NatWest as well, so I told my hiring manager as well, like I've already given 3 or 4 interviews so far, right? And I haven't had any luck. Hopefully this is the one. So that's when he goes like, let's hope so. I mean, I think all those interviews
So you were
added
open
a lot
about
of value.
that you have interviewed with,
Yeah,
other
of course,
banks and
of course.
You were awaiting decision or you had
Absolutely. No. So I was awaiting from Lloyd's, right? But from Barclays, one of them, they didn't call me for an interview because my visa, I wasn't on my graduate visa then.
Right.
And as per UK laws, what happens is you're meant to have at least 2 years on your visa left. They don't have to sponsor you, but they can at least start getting work out of you.
Right.
Those were reasons there as well. So I did mention it to NatWest as well because I feel like that also makes this point across to them that, okay, this guy is being approached by other banks as well.
Right.
So there is something about him. Right. I feel like that is extremely important that you do need to put out there and you don't need to feel shy about it. I know that we come from a place wherein we're all looking for sponsorships and bigger jobs as well. But then at the same time, you cannot undersell yourself.
Right.
You always need to sell yourself for what you value to be. That was extremely important for me as well. And a lot of my friends as well who have spoken to everyone, I mean, they all were looking for sponsor jobs. One of them, she got hired at Capgemini just now in London. Right, so she negotiated her salary even though she was worried about sponsorship. I'm like, and another one of my friends, he got hired in Morgan Stanley in Glasgow just now. He negotiated his salary as well.
And these guys are from University of Glasgow?
Yes.
And which programs are these guys from?
So they're from my program. The one in Capgemini just now, she is investment banking and finance just as myself. and the guy in Morgan Stanley who just joined. So he started this month on first itself, and he came back from India. Then he did fintech. But overall, I think it's a good exposure. It's good value as well, right? It brings a lot of weight to your CV when you're coming from such a rich institution, right?
Right.
Where there's so much to learn. Not just learn, but the exposure that it brings,
Yeah.
and the weight that it brings with itself.
So you interviewed with them.
Right.
There were multiple rounds of interviews that happened.
Yes,
post
so
that.
I had 3 rounds of interviews done, right? I had a single HR session as well,
Yeah.
wherein they talk about you, ask about your visa status and stuff, right? So I had that. That was just an initial discussion here and there. And then I had a group discussion as well, right? So that was with a bunch of people as well, right? I remember it was about 11, 12 people in the group discussion.
How many Indians would have been there in that?
I think about 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4, including myself.
Yeah.
So there were 3 or 4 Indians there as well. Surprisingly, one of the other Indian girls, she got hired at NatWest as well.
Yeah, okay.
So she's in another team along with me, like in the wider team, same, but in the smaller team, she's in another team with me. She's from University of St. Andrews. So overall, I mean, during the group discussion, right? So, I mean, if I were to tell you what they talk about, so I feel like after you've had that initial HR call, right, wherein they ask about your visa status and the basic stuff, right, they start deep diving into technicalities of roles, right?
Right.
So you need to be prepared on what role you've applied for. You need to know ins and outs of it. And at the same time, you should know ins and outs of the organization too, where you're going, because they would expect you to know that. And that is
Right.
the least that they would expect
Absolutely.
you to
So,
know.
they need to know that you understand where you are coming to work.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you. Even I'm
Absolutely.
interviewing somebody for our company, I would expect them to understand what we do.
Exactly. And then I feel like something that is very important to these people is if you are able to fit into their culture well or not. Even if you come as a fresh graduate, I mean, I had 1.5 years of experience back from India, but that's considered to be close to nil here. So these people expect you to be able to fit into the culture that they have. Right? They don't want people who are not able to fit into the culture, regardless of the fact if they have 10 years of experience, because that's not going to add value anyway. So they want you to be able to fit into the company well, and they'd be happy to teach you things. The job role that I am in just now, so I work as a financial controller. So what that pertains to is basically, so the bank itself, it has a markets division, right? How do banks make money? They trade money.
Right.
The one that they raise from people, right? The ones that they get as savings and deposits, right? Form of loans and stuff. So they trade that money on the markets. So my job is to make sure that the trades that are being executed, right? If they're in line, they follow all the regulatory compliances, not just per the UK standard, but as per the international standard as well. That's where my role comes in. So I'm more like a controller on what's going on, right?
It's kind of like an internal audit process. which is there,
Exactly,
so-
exactly. So that's to make sure that the market, whatever trades are being made, they're all regulated, the revenues on them, right? If they make sense or not, if there's any major movements, right? I'm meant to analyze them and report back to my higher ups and be like, why was this movement there? Did we expect this or not? So those are some basic things. I mean, that's the easiest way I can explain what I do, right? So I had zero idea about the role. I read about it online before going into the because I had to prepare. Went through ChatGPT as well. I mean, these days you don't Google, you ChatGPT. Right. So went on to ChatGPT as well.
But I think it's important not to just chat GPT and rote learn it, but to understand what's there, because it's your subject.
Exactly.
So it's not that
you
difficult.
need to understand what the role brings, right? What you're supposed to deliver there. You're supposed to know that. I mean, theoretical knowledge is completely fine because universities, they're going to fill you in with theoretical knowledge, but you should be able to understand how you're going to implement that just now. I usually deal with repo trades, repo and reverse repo trades. So that's just a technical term for saying buying and selling loans to other banks. I know what repo trades are, but I do not know how they function in actual markets. I mean, those people, they did not expect me to know that already. What they expected me to have was if I was able to be a good fit in the company and the team, and they'd be happy to teach. So I'm closing
More
up on
importantly, you are right that are you somebody I want to see every day coming and walking up to me? Am I happy to teach you?
Absolutely.
Right.
And you should always be open to learning. I mean, see, there's multiple people at my particular role itself. I have colleagues who are 33, 35, and they have zero idea about what they're doing just now because they come from different backgrounds. They come from accounting, they come from different parts of finance. So they haven't been exposed to this yet.
Right.
So they're still willing to learn. I mean, and I feel like as compared to them, I'm fairly young.
Yeah.
So if I stop learning just now, where am I supposed to head to? Right. So there's always room for improvement. You should always be open to learning, right? And honestly, these guys are always willing to teach you whatever you need. All you have to do is ask.
So you had your rounds of interviews, and then how long did it take from the day you applied to getting the final call?
So I had applied towards the end of January, and the final call came through on 3rd March.
On 3rd March.
I remember the date very clearly because I wasn't in a very good mood lately. I was like, I haven't had any luck, very upset about all that stuff. And I was meant to book my tickets to go back to India for a bit. I was like, I need a break, right? So 3rd March was the day when I was going to book my
About 5 weeks it took you, and
exactly. It took me about 5 weeks, but then luckily enough, because I was meant to book my tickets on the 3rd or 4th, and the 3rd was when I heard back. So I
you are just about to give up.
Exactly. exactly.
It
So
always happens that way. I don't know why.
absolutely. So I mean,
Yeah.
it comes to you, right?
Yeah.
Hard work pays off. There are perks here and there. You got different things you can leverage as well, right? But I feel like hard work pays off, man. You
So
just
it was
got to do
almost
what you got to do.
after 4 months of graduation.
I
6
graduated
months.
in December 24.
Yeah.
No. So this was
So your
I-
dissertation was taken
exactly.
longer.
Dissertation finished in August
Yeah.
24. But then we got our degrees in December. So
December.
officially we graduated in December itself. I was meant to start working from the 9th April and I got my offer on the 3rd March.
So I think
that was
3
close to
months
a
it
month.
took post-graduation,
Absolutely.
which is pretty cool, I think, as compared to many
I
other
mean,
people.
honestly,
Yeah, right?
trust me.
So,
I mean, a lot of my friends, they tell me, I don't know how I got lucky. I'm like, man, come on. I mean, it's just work. You all got to do it. I meet a lot of my friends just now who working part-time, right? And I always keep forcing them, apply for jobs, because you do not want to settle in the part-time job you're doing. Just
right.
now, I
Because
know
it's not got a longer-term future.
exactly. It doesn't have any future to it, right? I know it might seem like a lot of money because there's minimum wage out here, right? So
Right.
people who are working about 40 hours a week, they make about what, 1,600, 1,800 pounds a month, and they are happy with that because they're fresh graduates. They've never actually seen a lot of money coming into the banks, right? Now that they have, they're like, oh, they try to settle down, but then you need to understand there is no long-term future to it.
Right.
This is just a stopgap arrangement until you end up where you want to be.
But that stopgap arrangement gave you the ability to stay there.
Absolutely.
And, so
Absolutely.
That
is
was
a must.
actually the opportunity that opened up NatWest for you. Because,
Absolutely. I met the guy there. Right? Coincidence.
I don't believe in coincidence, but I say that, he
This
would not
was
have been the first guy you would have spoken to in the store.
No, absolutely.
You would have spoken to like 100 people.
Absolutely.
And it just
and when
takes
it clicks,
the 100
it clicks.
attempt
Exactly.
for it to click. So probability, if you keep doing it long enough, you will find it.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, it's the exact same thing with the number of jobs you apply.
Right.
The more you apply, the more you'll hear back. Even though it might be disappointing answers, but then at the same time, you know that you will start getting interviews. The more you apply, the more interviews you get. I think you get exposed to that, and then you know how you're supposed to prepare for them.
no, I know one thing which would be going in your guys' mind that, Harsh is very privileged kid, that he didn't have to work part-time. I know this is a question which is going on in your head. So I'm going to ask that question to him. You were not working part-time while you were studying.
Right.
How did you make that decision when you would have seen everybody around you working part-time? You had probably had money, but their money is never enough. So how did you, let go of that temptation?
Right.
And the second question is, where did you use that time?
As I mentioned before coming here, I was working full-time, right? Me working full-time then was how I was able to come here and not work part-time for all that while, because
So it's not like your family was doling out
no, that was
money
not
and
the case.
showering money on you.
I told you I worked for a year and a half back
Yeah.
home, right? So I had to save up whatever little bit I could, right? That's how it worked out for me. I saved up quite a bit, right? So at least I can pay for my own expenses while I'm here. And then I feel like the financial system in India as well has gotten way better as opposed to how it used to be earlier, right?
So you did take a loan?
I did, yes, I did. So I
guys,
did take a
of
loan
course,
as well.
He did take a loan. He had
Absolutely.
that same pressure as you all might be feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's actually easier as well. Like, as long as you're able to get the documents right and everything is in order. So it's fairly easy to get a loan as well, right? That's completely
So you
okay.
took a loan, you had your own savings.
Absolutely.
And that's why you decided. But so how did you still hold off the temptation that, maybe I can save, I can pay back the loan a little bit earlier?
Right. So what happens is, like with the loan itself, right? So there's a moratorium on it. You're not meant to pay a certain amount until you're studying.
Yeah.
So it starts paying off once you're done with your graduation, right?
Yeah.
Once you've graduated, 6 months after that is when your EMI start rolling in. So they leave that leeway there only for you to find a job. And fun fact there as well. So all the bankers who happen to give loans out, right? The interest rates they decide and the moratorium that they decide depends on the kind of university you're going to. So if you're going to a very high ranked university where employability is high, they'll offer you cheaper interest
Yes.
rates and they'd be more than happy to offer you a loan as well. Those are things to be considered as well. Another point being, so I studied finance, right? I come from a financial background, so I know how it works. And taking a loan makes way more sense as opposed to paying out of your own pocket, because given the fact how taxes are so high when you're sending out money abroad, right? It's about close to 20-25%. So that's like, say, if you were to be shelling out 50 lakh to study abroad, considering all your expenses and you're paying out of your own pocket. So that, like 10 lakhs on top of the 50. So 10 lakh ain't cheap. That's a lot of money. Taking a loan is actually a smarter decision as opposed to funding your own self through your own pocket. So that was one reason I considered that as well. And honestly, it's nothing to be embarrassed about because I'm working full time. So it doesn't cost me a penny now, because given the fact that I'm working in the UK, so the loan doesn't seem a lot.
I think,
good as
again,
well.
that's an important point, right? Guys, when you're thinking of some money like 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, it seems a lot now because you guys are not working in your domain.
Exactly.
When you start working, the same money will start feeling like
Very
much
immaterial.
less, very
Exactly.
immaterial.
Exactly. It will start feeling very immaterial because those values or those sums will seem very small to you once you start working in the UK, right? So this is one reason why I always pressurize my friends as well. You should apply for full-time jobs. You should apply for full-time jobs. You might be making 1600, 1800, whatever, right? But yet you're paying out 500 every month out of your pocket on your loan, which is still a stretch, right? If you're making about 1600 and you're shelling out 500, so that's like close to 33-35%.
Right.
But when you start working in your own domain with a special expertise, right, and you
then
have
there is
expertise,
a potential of growth, but otherwise you're always stuck at the minimum
exactly,
wages, right?
that's the thing. So I feel like that is why you need to step out there, right? Keep looking for jobs.
So
keep
your friends
hunting
were
as much
working
as you can.
part-time and
Absolutely,
you were not?
they were, yeah. Most of my friends, so they did not work before this, and I was actually one of the older guys in my class as well, because most of my friends
But you
who
had
came
only
through,
a year and a half of experience, so not that
exactly,
old.
not too old. So a lot of my friends as well, like they came fresh into masters. They just graduated from India and they moved abroad. That was my plan as well, but then unfortunately during that time COVID kicked in. I had been accepted at Warwick at the time. I was meant to go there, but then COVID kicked in and they were like, oh, we'll be charging full fees, and it didn't make sense.
So guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys, not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one-on-one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one-on-one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
We were all meant to study
that
from
was a
home.
good decision, yeah.
Exactly, it did not make sense. So at times you do need to realize that what is a good decision for you, right? You need to consider the pros and cons. So that is extremely important, given the fact that Warwick is an amazing school.
Right.
But then if you're not being exposed to the people there and the culture, it doesn't make sense to be shelling out 40 lakhs every year only to stay back home and study on your laptop.
So what did you use that time? That extra time, 20 hours a week.
Exactly. So
and travel. So I mean, it's a lot of time. Yeah.
So it was more like traveling, right? I'm a fan of hiking. I like to hike a lot, and Scotland is well known for its
Absolutely
hills and peaks as well. So that was something I shelled out a lot of my time over, right? It was mostly traveling, hiking, sports as well. I'm a footballer myself. So I used to play a lot of sports during my uni time, because all the people that you meet in uni, they're all into sports, gym as well. So I felt like I spent that time mostly on myself, trying to work on myself, be it in terms of my assignments that I was completing, or, trying to stay physically fit, trying to learn something new. Because during that time as well, when I was saving all that time, when I was not working part-time, I got into a bit of tech as well. I know that I come from a finance background, but I feel like tech is something that you should always get into. A basic idea, at least, if not hardcore coding, right? So that is when I started getting exposed to some coding as well, right? Because we had some courses in my uni, which was MATLAB or like Python as well. So I feel like those are value adds to your CV and to you as a person as well.
So you said that I will spend that time in building,
investing yourself,
exactly. Learning certain new skills that you felt were important. Also, I believe building your network, you go play football,
Absolutely.
you know at least 20 more people.
Exactly.
And every time you do that, you are knowing your circle of influence
keeps
is growing.
expanding. I feel like that time is very well spent if you're investing on your own self, right? Be it in fitness or, trying to educate yourself, learning a new skill. All those things matter, right? Okay, I mean, see, the goal of being at uni is not to work part-time and make money, right? That's completely fine, and I totally understand that you're doing that to support yourself. Everyone does that. But at the same time, if you're not working part-time, I would recommend try to spend that time on your own self, learn a new skill, right? Try to educate yourself as much as you can. Travel too. You're in a foreign country. The degree itself is only for 1 year. Try to make the most of it, is what I'd say.
Right.
Because now that I'm working full-time, I don't really tend to get a lot of time on my hands. So at times I just feel like, yaar, kya din the wo? Those days were better. But then grass is always greener on the other side. So us samay lagta tha job lag jaye, but now it feels like, I miss uni days. I wish I could go back.
You'll always miss uni days.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's go see your student accommodation as well. And
no worries.
While we walk, we'll talk. I have a few questions now in my head. Right, we understand how and what got you into NatWest.
Right.
People think finance. They think London. You chose University of Glasgow.
Right.
Why did you do that? Do you believe in general still people should pick London?
Opinions can be different.
Yeah.
They're very subjective to people, right? I've been in Glasgow. There might be a certain level of bias there, but then at the same time, I feel like Glasgow had a better opportunity for me because I wanted to work in investments. So when people say finance, there's two sides to it. There's accounting and then there's finance, where you make money, you make investments, right? You deal with assets, you deal with real estate, you deal with real little cash. So that is what I wanted to get into. And the opportunity that I had back in King's for my master's, that was retail banking, and that was not something I was too keen on. I was more into the investment side of things. So it made more sense for me to come here. And at the same time, I was offered a scholarship here as well. That helped me sustain myself. Now, you know, so that's another point there.
If you had been offered a course in investment banking at King's, would you have picked King's?
See, honestly, it depends on your financial budget as well. If you have the money to pay for it, might as well. But then I do not come from a place where I could shell out 40, 50 lakhs only for my tuition fees, right? Spend for accommodation, that'd be another 20, 24 lakhs because that's London we're talking about. That would not be the right place for me. But at the same time, I feel like London is too overcrowded at this point, right? Given the number of students that are coming in, given the number of universities that it has to offer, Glasgow in general is a student city. Like if you were to look it up on Google as well, you'll come to find that Glasgow is one of the largest student cities in the UK, because there's a number of universities around here as well. But then at the same time, they don't compare to the ones in London because London has a lot to offer. So there's a lot of people there, right? That drives competition. Those are the things that drive costs, living costs, rents, all these things, right? So
overall, you would still advise that, you know, Glasgow is of course more economical.
Absolutely. And it's
you
the same quality of life.
Quality of life, of
exactly.
course,
It's the same quality of life.
There are enough finance opportunities.
Absolutely. So you'd be surprised to know we got a very big JP Morgan office here, Morgan Stanley here, Santander here. We got NatWest offices here. We got Lloyd's as well. We got a huge Barclays campus here, and I think that is the largest campus in the UK.
And all of these companies are just sharing that.
Exactly.
As well,
The Barclays campus out here, I think that is the largest that they have in Scotland and second to the one that they have in London. So you can imagine the scale of how these companies are operating in a city like Glasgow.
Right.
Glasgow itself is not a very small city. Glasgow is a good place to be for finance as well. There's a lot of opportunities, and I feel like this is a better place because the number of competition that you might have here would be drastically less as opposed to something you might find in London. It might be highly competitive there, but then at the same time, it might not be as competitive as London here. So I feel like that is something you should consider as well when you're trying to decide on where you want to go, what kind of opportunities are there, and all the offices that I'm telling you about just now, the Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan, they all offer graduate programs. So that is the go-to route for any graduate.
But those you said are like really competitive.
Exactly. They're extremely competitive.
You're the same guy, right? Let's say you had the same course and you studied at a different university in Glasgow. Yes, University of Glasgow is the best one in Glasgow. So anyone would have been slightly lower in rank or maybe lower in reputation. Did the university that you studied at play a role in you getting the opportunity?
See, I think the name itself carries a lot of weight, right? So I feel like that adds a certain level of value, but at the same time, it is not, so it's not always, you know, a given that, okay, if you study at King's, you'll get a job. A lot of my friends who studied at LSE, London School of Economics, they don't have a job just now and they went back to India. So there are cases as such as well. So the thing in this case is like, it's not a complete given that if you study at a good university, you're going to land a job. I think it all comes from the person as well. It's about the personality that you're able to offer to the company, if you're able to get involved in their organization.
So you are saying basically that the university matters, but it is not the top priority thing to be worried about.
I mean, what I would say is that the university molds you as a person, as an individual that is going to fit into that system. If you're able to get molded right, then I think you would be able to fit into the system regardless of which university you come from. That's the whole point.
Because that's again a lot of times a debate. University of Glasgow is also decently expensive. They give scholarships, but so makes it slightly bit more economical. But there are other cheaper ones. Right. Now the students try to kind of try and understand that part that, you know, what if I'm not going to a Russell Group university? Will I not be able to get an opportunity? Or should I just, will going to a Russell Group university really give me, you know, far more opportunity than, some other school?
The way people put it, I mean, Russell Group and everything, okay, honestly, these are just groups that are heavily funded for research purposes. Russell Group itself means all those universities which have very big backing for research fundings, right? Education per se doesn't really depend on the university you go to. I think it depends on you as a person as well.
How hungry you are to learn.
Exactly. It's about you being hungry, being able to network, because I have so many friends just now who are in Glasgow and they didn't go to Glasgow Uni and they work at Morgan Stanley and they went to University of Sheffield. So that's very economical. I think one of my friends who studied there, he spent about 15 lakhs for the whole course and yet he's working at Morgan Stanley. It doesn't matter which university you come from. What matters the most is what kind of a person you've become and you've come out from university.
So guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys, not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one-on-one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one-on-one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
No, so why I'm saying is because a lot of people are going to idealize your
Right.
position and while they're watching it. But I want to bring out some of the that they would be having, what you guys are having right now while you're listening to Harsh, because university is not the reason why he got selected. So
Right.
now, Harsh, tell me what skills you believe you showcased that got you selected at NatWest.
course.
And I'm talking of hard skills. I'm not.
Right.
I want like an action plan. Okay, these
Right.
5 things. I will build these 5 skills.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in finance itself, you're meant to have theoretical knowledge which comes with the university, right? We can come around this way. So that's the front of my accommodation. You can turn the camera around. You'll show them Havana.
Havana.
Yeah, I miss it. It was pretty good. Come around.
A
I'll
lot
show
of
you the
good
back.
memories, I
Oh
think.
man, trust me, I miss those days.
How many times you have crawled from here to your
Every
apartment?
day, every day. I mean, even now, like me and my friends, we just come around because the back street is really nice. I think you like it. It's very nice. And the sun always comes directly there and there's no blockage. So I feel like that would be a very good spot to, sit and talk as well. And it's fairly quiet. Right. I mean, hard skills are such theoretical knowledge, of course, right? That is something you study at uni. But at the same time, you need to understand, like, whatever you're being taught in university, you need to start implementing those things. So my course itself, it offered access to Bloomberg.
Yeah.
So that is the trading terminal that all financial people, all traders use, right? There's Bloomberg. There's some software, not software, but then some coding platforms as well, like MATLAB. There's Stata as well. So Stata is for data analysis and all that stuff, right? So those are things you need to develop your skill set in because that is extremely important. Those things add a lot of value because when you're putting it down on your CV, okay, that I know that you come from finance, but then do you know how to operate these tools? Do you know how to use them? So that is something which is extremely important and all these people look for because they've got such systems in place and they would want you to come in and integrate.
So did you
with
do
that.
any certifications also in these tools and softwares, or it was just that you had implemented and used them in your project?
It was part of my dissertation as well, right? So Stata and MATLAB was something that I had to use in my dissertation because that is a compulsion for you to do because it was part of my course, right?
Right.
Those courses were a must for me to go with, right? But at the same time, while I was in India during COVID, I did a lot of courses from Coursera, which were about data analysis, risk analysis, and financial modeling, quantitative modeling, all these things. I feel like those things add a lot of value because once you're out in the UK, that's when you realize everyone's got the same profile.
Yes.
Right? My class itself, it had 500 students. Everyone studied investment banking and finance. So you need to be sure that you're able to differentiate yourself from them. A lot of those students who come in, they won't be too keen on doing MATLAB. But if you're able to stick around with it, it might seem boring or mundane at times. But then if you're able to stick with it, you're going to stand out. Exactly. All you have to do is stand out from the 500 class people, right? So you need to understand that.
You mentioned one is, of course, your theoretical knowledge,
Right.
which is going to be taught.
Absolutely.
And the other is certain technical skills.
Absolutely.
Be it Bloomberg, how do you operate a
Right.
Bloomberg terminal, how to use MATLAB or
Right.
Python or Stata, and
Absolutely.
some of the programming tools and
Absolutely.
analytical tools. What else?
Other than that, you mean? Other
What
than that-
else is the skill? Like, of course, you don't, I think,
Right.
consider it, but like communicating
Oh,
and communicating
absolutely.
with confidence
Absolutely.
is very critical, which I think comes more naturally to you now.
Exactly.
Was it like this before you came, or it kind of built it, developed it after you got here?
So, I think I've always been an extrovert, right?
Yeah.
So I've never really had problem in trying to communicate with people, right? And I mean, touch wood, I feel like, okay, my English is fairly decent for people who've stuck around in the UK. So I think communication is very important, right? And the way you're able to express yourself, that is extremely important. Because as I mentioned, when these recruiters are looking out for people, they look for personality.
Yes.
If you've got that personality to fit into the company, and what kind of personalities do they look for? They look for people who are willing to take initiatives, who are willing to go the extra mile, people who are able to work in teams.
Yeah.
So all those things are extremely important, and I feel like all those factors are heavily worked upon when you're in uni because you've got group assignments to work in, so that's team building for you. There's other what you call societies that you can be part of, that's initiative for you, right? And then at the same time, I mean, there's way more opportunities at university to get exposed to such things which will add a lot of value to you as a person and make you, ready for the industry that you want to get into. So communication,
so it's not that,
of course.
because why I'm asking and bringing that about is also because success breeds success.
Absolutely.
Right? Why I'm not saying is because you are confident now. Were you this confident 6 months ago when you were getting rejections every day?
Trust me,
and,
no.
you were working at that part-time store.
Right.
And you may have had that fear that, maybe this is what I'll end up doing for the next 2 years and then have to go back home. So
Exactly.
I know you're confident today, but
Right.
I think after you become successful, it's easy. How was it before? So
How was it when I was in that phase, when those rejections keep coming through and all those things.
How did you keep up that confidence?
I mean, see, honestly, first off, I mean, I had to pay my bills, right?
Yeah.
So that was there. I mean, that was a motivation there. But then at the same time, so when I came here to the UK, so this was always a lifelong goal for me, right? To come abroad, like, study, settle, work here, right? So that was something that my family always wished for. Those were things that kept me motivated. And of course, my family, they were very supportive, right? I used to talk to them and, crib about the fact, there's nothing working out. What should I do? Should I come back? And they'd be like, no, what's the point of you coming back? I mean, you've spent so much money, you've spent so much time, might as well just put in a little more effort and wait for what comes to you, because what's meant to be is meant to be. There were times like when I was very upset, honestly. I mean, I was working part-time and I was extremely happy because at that point I was able to pay my own bills.
Yeah.
But that is just step one. So that is just the stepping stone towards your destination, right?
So you kept yourself motivated.
Exactly.
And you were just the same.
Absolutely.
Like you are today.
Absolutely.
And I think that is again a very strong message for all of us here. Life is gonna throw shit at you as international students, left, right and center, and you're gonna have a tough time. But nothing can actually prepare you for the reality because it hits harder than you can imagine. But you need to keep your chin up and you need to keep pushing through, because the day you stop doing that, you've already lost. So, and it's getting harder actually, with the whole regulations getting changed, things are already getting harder. So you need to be prepared for that fight. And if you're not, then there's no point actually in coming to UK in the first place. So we want to know one more part about your journey, which is I think again very important, is now finance as a career. When we look at data, we realize that, the opportunities in finance are the least, but they're also the highest paying.
Absolutely.
And hence, of course, it can't be both,
Right.
So what is the strategy that one should follow if they're looking to build a career in finance? What is that game plan? How should one plan? Because a lot of students may not have prior background in finance.
Right.
They may have done a BBA, or they may have even done some technical program, but they want to study finance and, get into the financial services industry. What would be your suggestion to them? What should they do while they are back in India so that they can prepare themselves for the time in UK?
Right. So, I mean, see, if you don't come from a financial background, I mean, of course, that does not mean you cannot get into the sector altogether. Because one of my colleagues, he studied biotech and he works with me in finance.
Yeah.
So he did his undergrad in biotech, but then he did his master's in finance, right? So, master's itself is a very advanced degree as opposed to something that you study in your undergrad. Right. I mean, if you want to get into it, I would always recommend that, you can always go back to YouTube, or there's other courses that are provided by Coursera or maybe other providers as well.
So just don't go it for the fact that salaries are higher.
Exactly.
A lot of people
you need to be keen on it.
You need to be keen on it.
If
you're especially changing domains,
exactly.
Go to Coursera, YouTube, educate yourself about it, try and practice it to some degree, and so that you understand that you're good at it and you're really interested in it, and you're not just coming and doing it for the money, because money will not come unless you get job, and job will not come unless you have the skill.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, I mean, that's again one message, I wanted to kind of drive through you, that don't chase money, chase excellence, and money will follow.
Money will follow.
And if you're not good at something, nobody's going to pay you to do that job. I think we are in this great day today that, we get to kind of bring out that reality for our students. Building a career in finance is not just a dream. You have so many friends.
Exactly.
And from different universities.
Right.
And from different backgrounds.
Right.
Who are actually doing it. Do you see any patterns emerging out of it? The friends you find who are doing well, are there any traits, any things which are sort of you feel are common?
So, I mean, one thing that I really relate to with all my other friends who are working in finance, right? It feels like we eat, we breathe, we live finance.
Yeah.
That's what we do, right? So, as you mentioned rightly, it's not for the money that we wanted to get into this.
Yeah.
This was the thrill of working in finance, right? When you're always on your toes, you never know what your day is going to look like. So, I mean, finance is not for everybody. You need to be prepared for it. If you are keen on it, you'll stick by.
Yeah.
But if you're not, you're going to drop out.
Yes.
Trust me. It is hard when it is hard.
Yeah.
It is good when it is good. So, it has its own ups and downs, right? So, I feel like we always have common topics to talk about whenever we meet as well. I mean, back when we were kids, we were just kids, right? Playing around and fooling around. But then now that we've come to this level wherein we're all working, there's always something new to talk about, right? Everyone works in a different part of finance.
Yeah.
So there's always something new to discuss. So I feel like these open conversations add a lot of knowledge to you, firstly, because you're getting to learn something new and about a field you are highly keen on. I feel like we're all very, we're all on the same tangent when we talk about finance. So there's a lot of common ground that we usually talk about. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is the most common thing.
So, I mean, all of you guys, you feel that you are all very strongly passionate about
Exactly.
the field of finance, and hence you are able to spend a lot of time learning about it, even if it is not related to your work. But then
No,
that
not at
gives you
all.
something to talk about when you meet other people in finance.
Exactly.
And hence, I think, see guys, again, I think it boils down to the fact that if you are enjoying something and it's your calling, and you will, instead of scrolling on Instagram, you would actually spend time reading about, if instead of, looking at Bollywood news, you're going to look at finance news and read about what's happening, in the financial world.
Right.
I think it is important for us to understand, what we are keen on, what we are willing to spend that time on. And we need to assess that before we come abroad. Because it's not something for you to experiment here. You need to know that for sure.
I mean, you can't do that because, see, the thing is, like, you're talking about so much money here,
Exactly.
right? Most of the people that you'll find at universities like Glasgow Uni, right, or people who are in smaller parts of the UK as opposed to London, I mean, okay, millionaire students go there, but then not everyone comes from that background. So you need to be 100% sure what you want to get into, because if you're just coming here for the sake of it, then honestly, you're just wasting your money. You need to be 100% sure on what you want to get into and if this is the right thing for you, because we're talking about a lot of money, and honestly, it's not just about the money, it's about time as well. It's your own time. You could be, working on something that actually interests you, rather than trying to waste your time in something that does not at all.
That doesn't at all, and then
Exactly.
that's not going to get you anywhere. But thank you so much, Harsh, for sharing
was
those
lovely, Piyush.
beautiful thoughts and coming out candidly about how you ended up being in a position you are at NatWest as a financial controller. There are a lot of people would want to aspire to be working in finance in UK. The financial hub of the world. It is definitely a pleasure to bring this story to all of you. And if you have learned from it, guys, so please subscribe to our channel, because we are going to be talking to so many more people. And I think you will find that very interesting and helping you in building your career in the UK. I'm going to keep asking you a few questions while we are here.
Feel free.
A lot of people talk about resume.
Right.
Do you believe in it that resume needs to be crafted in a certain way? And if yes, then any tips about that?
Every particular sector, right, it has its own structure in place, right? So I've seen my friends' resumes who are working in marketing just now. So their resumes look extremely different as opposed to what would be on mine, right? So mine, it talks about more on the lines of numbers, right? More on the lines of deliverables that I've been able to offer, right? And it doesn't really have my picture on it as well. But my friend here, so who works in marketing, so he's, because see, marketing is all about trying to sell something, right? So the first thing that a person is going to see about you if they want to hire you, if you're able to sell yourself, right? Of course, that does add value, right? That is a differentiator as well, depending on what sector you want to get into. And honestly, I picked up my template online as well. I was going through a lot of templates that I saw online, what works best for finance.
Any tips for building a resume for finance? I mean, did you use any special tools, anything to get ATS compliant and all of that stuff?
I did actually. So for that, I mean, ChatGPT, of course. So what I used to do is the rough draft that I had for my resume, right? So I uploaded that on ChatGPT. I told it what I've done, right? And I told it that I need numbers on this, because I feel like for us in finance, we need a lot of numbers, right? We need to show what we've done, how we've performed overall, right? So,
and of course, people who are evaluating your resume are also very analytical. People who understand only numbers.
Exactly, of course. I mean, I'm just starting off in my career, and the manager and the hiring manager, he himself has like close to 15 years of experience.
Right.
So you cannot fool around there,
exactly.
right? You need to be very realistic, and you can't just say, okay, I was working in finance before, I helped deliver 100% returns. That is just bloody blah. So that's all nonsense. You cannot do that, because the person who is going through your resume, he has 15 to 20 years of experience.
Right.
So he's not.
And he's seen enough of resumes.
Exactly. He's seen a shit ton of resumes. Trust me on that, right? For me, I felt like a lot of numbers, they add value, right? Deliverables, what you've delivered actually, as opposed to what you've done.
Yeah.
Doing something is fine, but then what was the outcome of it is extremely important, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what people look for, and trying to keep it as short as possible. Ideally, people say that a resume should be about a one-pager or so, but I feel like after a certain amount of time, when you've done a lot, right, and you feel like, okay, this should be out there. So don't stop yourself with a one-pager resume. Only try to fit in whatever is acceptable, because I mean, you're trying to sell yourself there. So why do you want to stop with a one-pager resume which only accommodates 3 or 4 things?
So you are saying that it's not like that one page. If you're not doing a one-pager resume, then it's the end of the
My
world.
resume itself was 1.5, and I still got hired. So that's the point.
And you used only ChatGPT for sort of
I mean, it was ChatGPT, or lately there's DeepSeek as well, right? And then there's some online tools to test your resume for ATS perfection as well. I did, but then I don't really recall the name, because those are just like.
So you just like you searched that, okay, how can I test?
Exactly.
So it was not like a specific tool or something that you would always use.
It wasn't. But all these tools that I found online for ATS, they usually tend to tell you what you're missing out on and what you should add.
So you should definitely use some of those tools. We're going to put a couple of ones which I like in the description.
Absolutely.
And you guys can use that. About the LinkedIn profile, is there anything you think should be there in the LinkedIn profile? How can, or is it even important?
LinkedIn is extremely important.
Yeah.
It is extremely important because that is a real reflection of what you are and what you've done. You wouldn't find people lying on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is extremely professional, right? And all these people out here in the UK, they always go back to your LinkedIn and have a look what you've done. So you need to be extremely active on there, right? You should keep making posts about fields you're interested in, because I used to post a lot of stuff. I used to post like some, blogs and stuff as well while I was still studying at uni about money markets and fixed income markets and all that stuff, right?
So again, guys, see, the LinkedIn profile is not that one page.
Exactly.
Right? It is what you are doing on LinkedIn. And it is not one day that I get up and I will make 500. Right?
No, so that never happens.
Right,
That never
exactly,
happens.
right? So again, that's important that LinkedIn is what you have been doing there.
Right.
And there's a history, there's a growth. And if there is consistency and there is enough alignment to the interest that you're talking about, it is not where you post your picture with your girlfriend. No, it is a it's a place where you're going to be talking about like you said,
your
finance
career,
or fixed income or whatever
you should talk about your career. You should talk about things that you've done.
And hence, that is something which every recruiter will look. That is what I would look for in the people I'm going to hire. That is what everybody in the world is right now using to understand you better as a professional. So, so don't think of LinkedIn as a one page. Think of it as a story of the activity that you have done over a period of time. Great to get that validated as well. So, because I'm also trying to validate certain points which I keep communicating to our students. When we think of interview preparation, because a lot of interviews happen and the initial few times you're not really understood how to go about it.
Right.
Any tips for students who are, how can they prepare for it?
So guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys, not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one-on-one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one-on-one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
I mean, see, the most basic thing you could do is, as I mentioned earlier, you need to understand the company, right? So there are a few points that they usually look for, which are their values, mission statement. They happen to have a certain set of values that they expect you to have in yourself. So when I mentioned that these recruiters, they look for you to be able to fit into the group, what actually means is that do you have those values in you? So whenever you're getting ready for an interview, I would always recommend go through the values that they have, the mission statement if they happen to have one, what kind of benefits do they offer to your employees, because they want to understand. Values are something which are fairly common that people always go through, right? They want to understand if the person has actually put in the effort to go through every single thing about them. How is the company going to improve that employee? It's not about the employee working for the company, but then at the same time, it's about growth. How is the employee able to make the most of his time at that institution? Now that I'm here at NatWest, right? So these guys are helping me out with my CFA. They're going to be paying for it. So that is a value add for me. Maybe not today until the point I've cleared it, right? But 5 days down the line, I wouldn't have paid a single penny out of my pocket and I'd still be a CFA because the company is willing to invest in their people. So you should always be aware about what they are doing for their employees, right? If they have any shared schemes, if they have any pension plans, any insurances, right? Any educational offerings, any training offerings. So at NatWest as well. So one of the other things that they have is like wherein you can work in a different team 2 days in 1 week, right? So you can do that. You can get exposed to, markets. You can get exposed to any other division and they'd be happy to do that. They pay you they'll pay you for the day and they'd be happy for you to skip out on your own work. But if you're willing to learn something new in the group, they'd be happy to do that. So they're willing to pay you for that as well. And I feel like that teaches
I think this is
a lot
like
of
kind
things.
of like an insight about a company. If you have, then truly.
Of course.
And that can come from researching online or knowing their people, talking to people at that company because they would be experiencing it and they can share it firsthand. But other thing, just to divert, and one thing I've found really common between all the folks that we have been interviewing who are doing full-time work in their domain is that they have not stopped learning. Again, when you mentioned that CFA, everyone I know, somebody who's doing another diploma on the side, you're doing CFA, somebody's trying to do some certification. Everyone is continuing to upskill themselves, continuing to differentiate themselves because differentiation you have today, it will not be there tomorrow. So you have to continue working on it.
You've got to keep up with time.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? So CFA is a thing that is in just now. So everyone's trying to get there, right? But 5 years down the line, most of the people you'll see will be CFAs.
So there might be something else that you need to
there'll be something else that you need to catch up on. Like masters back then, I think like around my dad's time, right? It wasn't too common for people to go for masters. But then over time, people started getting into higher education, into masters and then PhDs, right? So I feel like this is an ongoing process, right? You always need to stay ahead of time. You always need to keep improving yourself in whatever way you can.
Right. So I think, guys, this is something which is a common trait for all successful people, and that's something you must also learn. And thank you so much for your time. And we
it was
are
lovely.
so glad that we could, cover this today. I know you have come late from office, and we've been
Don't worry
holding you
about
back
it. No,
for
that's
dinner
completely fine.
and for taking rest because you need to get up again early 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think we are selfish, we are greedy, we
Right.
want this information so that our students can learn, and we want you to learn. So, guys, let's maybe walk towards the accommodation.
Right. It's just this way. So this is the one.
So this is where you had all your parties.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
amazing, man.
Yeah. So what was the craziest stuff that you did ever here?
I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot, right? There's a lot of
What
memories
you can
here.
tell on camera.
A lot of memories here.
Yeah.
So there was a party we had, right? Oh, it seems they've changed the door back there. So
You
the
broke it.
So that's what I was about to say.
okay.
So we had a party downstairs, right? So it was all the students from university. We had just finished our second semester exams, right? So everyone was having fun, right? It wasn't just us. It was a lot of people from my class, right?
Yeah.
Not just from our country, but a lot of people from other countries too. So we were all just, having a blast inside, right? So the guard was there as well. And we were very close with the guard, right? So we were just chilling with him. We were like, oh, you should have a drink as well with us, right? He had a drink with us. And the next thing we know, he was gone from the accommodation. So he was gone the next day. And then we got to know he got transferred. And then we bumped into it on the street the other day. He's like, oh man, that was night. Was fun. Nah, he was like, that was fun. He had fun that night. So he never regrets that. So we're still friends with him. We still see him around. He's at another accommodation just now. But yeah, I mean, those are many of the few memories. So this kitchen right here, this was my friend's. If you see the second floor one, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
So my friend used to live there. So that was quite nice. And then we have a lawn just back there as well. We've got a small lawn there. We used to chill a lot there as well because when the sun was out.
Was this accommodation quite expensive, or is it like?
It was a bit expensive because this is a university accommodation. So I mean, I think that is a learning point for people as well. So when you're coming to the UK, university accommodations tend to be more expensive as opposed to private accommodations.
Right.
Private accommodations like, private rentals with landlords, those are fairly cheap. But when you go into student accommodations, what happens is you got amenities as well. You got gyms, so I had a cinema in there, right? I had a gym, I had, a sauna, a spa. So there's a lot of amenities that come along. There's a communal area as well with pool tables and table tennis. So those are things that actually matter. So if someone were to come to the UK, just now I'll always tell them go for a student accommodation because you get to meet people from your university. This is where you actually make a lot of friends, right? So I feel like when you're coming to a foreign country, student accommodations are the best. You got people from your university, you got common ground to talk about.
You're not holed up in a apartment or in a
You don't
house
want
with
that.
like 4 or 5 people, and they are the ones you end up living with for the next 2 years, 3 years.
It shouldn't be that way.
But here you have, a lot more people, and you get to interact with many more guys. So and it's going to be a lot more international as well.
Right.
It will push you out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
So guys, if you can afford, I think that's one thing which also always helps you. Push you in the right direction.
You should always try to go for a student accommodation. I would always suggest that, right? There are accommodations that are relatively cheaper as well, but there are always student accommodations. So always try to go for a student accommodation because that is where you will actually make your lifelong friends. So that is very important.
So I think we have taken enough time of our friend, and we would like to say goodbye now. And I think that's a lot of information and a lot of positive vibes and a lot of encouragement for anyone who wants to come to the UK, wants to study finance here, wants to build a career here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, do subscribe to our channel and share this with all the friends who are looking to study finance anywhere in the world and especially in the UK. So if you want to know more about us, you can just leave a comment as a question and I will make sure that all the questions are answered. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. That's Piyush, your study abroad coach, signing out from Glasgow, Scotland. And thank you so much, Harsh,
Thanks
for spending
a lot,
time.
Piyush. It was lovely meeting you guys.
Same here. Now let's go grab a bite and see you all guys later.
If you like this content, please subscribe to our channel and I will see you all in the next video.
बढ़िया था?
सही?
हाँ,
अच्छा
बढ़िया
है,
था?
नहीं अच्छा है, अच्छा है.
नहीं,
Natural अच्छा लगता है.
See, I think I could have done this, taken some of your time online and done it on Zoom.
But उसमें वो पता है वो impact नहीं आता.
Impact नहीं आता. And I'm saying, we tried that and then we said that,